back to Just Between Us, Nashville's #1 music channel. This week I thought
downer, real downer, real down in the dumps downer.
Well, it was interesting because you recently said something about like realizing that you hadn't fully processed your broken engagement.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's like kind of an interesting thing to talk about, of like that sometimes like healing takes longer than we think that it will, or that like sometimes we think we're over a hump only to realize maybe we're not.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to just chat about it.
You know, I think it's interesting to feel that getting over something has to be linear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my instinct is to just forget about it. Like, to just, something bad happens and my brain is already putting the cells together to like weave over that and like forget about it. It feels surreal. Like, I think about, like, I saw a picture of me come up on like a rewind, and it was like an old picture of me in the house that I used to live in with my ex. And I was like, where am I in this picture? I truly thought, where am I in this picture?
You didn't recognize your own house?
No. And I lived there for years because I think I've just like been like, shut it down. Shut it down. Like, this really horrible thing happened. It was really bad. It was really painful. It was really awful. Shut it down.
Yeah.
Let's even forget where you lived. Let's forget anything you guys ever did together. Let's erase all meals you ever made. It's like I have eternal sunshine. But you know what happens in eternal sunshine is she starts crying. She doesn't know why.
Oh, really? I haven't seen it in a long time.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, it's
still in your body.
Still in you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think also like when you get out of a relationship that had a lot of tension, that like where you weren't happy for a while, mm-hmm. then like your immediate like feeling is sort of like relief. It's like,
right.
Oh, I'm not in conflict all the time. I'm not trying to figure out what to do. Like I get to like, I've made this clear decision. There's like relief in that. Mm-hmm. And so it's like a weird version of a breakup because it's like, now I'm on to the next chapter. But then you're like, oh wait, I have to still go back and process all of those things.
I don't even know how you do it. I mean, I'm in therapy, so I'm gonna bring it up to her this week. But like, you know, I think also this idea that you're not allowed to be upset because you're happy that it is over. Mm. So in my head, I'm like, if I even miss one thing, it means it was a mistake. So I can't regret or miss or like, I can't have enjoyed any single thing that ever happened in the relationship. Otherwise, I'll go into a tailspin. Mm. It's like, but one time it was really nice for 5 hours 2 years ago. And I'm like, well, I've ruined my life. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so maybe that's something to work on. Is like being able to understand that there were good parts.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys were together for the amount of time that you were.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't meant to be forever.
But if I think about the good parts, I will fall apart. You have to then do this thing where you're like, well, nothing's ever been good ever, actually. The whole thing was bad, so thank God it's over. Mm-hmm. And then it comes up in spurts. Like, little things will happen where you're just like, oh, no, I'm crying over something that would seem minuscule to other people. But it's like there's a Taylor Swift lyric where she's like, I'm crying over a hat. And I'm like, yeah, I feel that, girly. You say what you want. She's got her finger on the human condition.
She really does.
Am I supposed to, like, look at stuff and be like, oh, and smile and like put it back in the box like at the end of the movie? Like, what am I supposed to do? You know that thing where they like find a Polaroid and they're like, oh my God, I was so upset about this. And then they look at it and they go, wow, that was cool, but I feel nothing. And then they put it away. Do I get to that point and then I just stay there and I coast?
We had very different reasons for our broken engagements, and I was left and did not want the relationship to end.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm at a point where I can find joy in certain memories.
But is that weird to do now that you're married to someone else?
I don't think so. I mean, I assume that John has fond memories of his 4-year relationship he had before me.
What? Who is she? Who is she? I'm just kidding. Yeah, I guess that's true. But I think like when you break up and it was like okay, like it was an okay breakup, it's like you're allowed to have like fun memories of it. Here's the thing. It's hard to be like, this is who I am now, and I was this other person. And that person was real and they really believed the things they believed. And then the person I dated, that's that person, and they were also this other person. But now when I'm like, think about it, I'm like, do I even know them? But like, no, you don't know them now.
Right.
But I like, it's this weird, it feels like surreal and like disorienting to like, if they pop up on my feed or something where I'm like, who the fuck is that? It's like with looking at the house, it's like, I'll see that, or I'll see, it doesn't help that I transitioned in the middle of it, but I'm like, who is anyone? What was that? What is this house? What was this clothes? What is that?
So I think a thing that is helpful for me is like every few years I feel like a totally different person.
I know.
But like that gives me separation from it. So
then
like
I feel stupid, and then I'm like, well, who am I going to be in 3 years who looks at me now and is like, what the fuck was that?
Okay, so I think we're narrowing in on maybe like some schemas and some beliefs that are harmful to you.
Yeah, no
which
duh.
is that if you like that you're never allowed to make a mistake.
But I make them so often is the problem.
To you, like the fact that you were in a relationship that didn't work out, which is something that happens to people constantly, every day, all the time, is some like huge like mark against your character and your trait. You then learn something from that relationship, and then moving forward, you like keep that lesson with you.
Yeah.
That's like what it's all about.
Yeah. So it's just being able to hold two things at once. This person was very good at caretaking in some instances. And so if I'm sick, I'm like, oh, they were really good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, you're not allowed to think that.
Oh no, you have to let yourself think your thoughts. For example, like my ex-fiance, I don't know who's not saying their names, but whatever. My ex-fiance like was very good about when I would throw up for my acid reflux. Like he like wasn't grossed out by throw up.
Nice.
And so sometimes I'll think about that.
Right. Even my like worst exes had things about them.
Of course, or why would you have dated them?
Right, that makes sense.
You know, I sort of look back at it, like even though like obviously he fell out of love with me and it was a disaster and it really hurt me, I'm like, for a while there, he did love and care for me, and that was nice.
But then it's like, this is what we're talking about a little bit on an episode of the podcast, where it's like my crying happens in all these random times and places, and like I'll be upset about, it'll be like one thing, like this is not a real example, but I'll be like, I'll slam my finger in the door and then I'm crying about like how my ex was good to my dog. Like, what is going on?
I think you just haven't processed stuff.
Yeah.
Like you just haven't let yourself feel all of the feelings around it. Like after my broken engagement, I literally went home to New York and stayed at my parents' house for 3 months.
Yeah.
And just like felt my feelings and like healed. And I wasn't healed after 3 months, but I like talked through everything over and over every night with my mom, and like I let myself come to accept that he didn't love me anymore, and I just like I faced all of like the horrible things I didn't want to face.
Yeah.
And then they pass through you. But you kind of, because of like what ended up happening in your life, like you didn't get that time. And also like you grieve stuff while in the relationship, like, you know, and so to be afraid of your feelings is like a horrible place to be.
I feel like that has been my situation since age 7.
And I think I'm less afraid of my feelings now because they don't last as long.
Yeah, I'm getting better at that. I will say I'm much better at that.
It's just your body telling you there's still stuff to work through. Like if you had been like, oh, I went to a retreat for 2 months to just work through my breakup and I still haven't worked through it, then I'd be like, uh-oh. But like you just haven't done that yet, and so you will.
The fans should just go back if they can and edit together every time that I've been like, you've been like, you'll get through it, and then I go, when? Don't you feel like that happens all the time? Where you're like, you'll get like, and then you'll grow, and then I always go, but I want it to be now.
Yeah.
I feel like that's happened like 45 times over the last 10 years.
Well, yeah, I don't have any patience either.
I know.
It's a virtue that I don't have.
Okay, now it's been a year and a half since. And
Not
I'm
quite.
like, we split in November 2022.
Yeah, but it's only January. December, January.
No, we split in November 2022.
Oh my God.
I know. This is me not recognizing the house all over again.